Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Unit 3, Crime Scene Processing, Section 3, Documentation. In this section, we're going to be talking about when you actually get to a crime scene and you are a crime scene investigator. You will be doing one of these things. So the first is going to be, I just want to talk to you quickly just about some of the search methods. When you access a crime scene, how people go about actually effectively searching that area. So the first is going to be the line or strip method. This is going to be best in large outdoor areas. So let's say that you have a really large field. Okay, the line or strip method would be breaking the section up into strips that you would then alternate. You would search them back and forth until you've covered the entire space. Grid method is basically a double line search. What this is you take a big space and search this way, and then go back and search the opposite direction. Okay, so really effective, the less chance of missing something, but it takes twice as long. Zone method. This is going to be where if you have a floor plan of, say, a kitchen and a bathroom and a hallway and a living room and a family room. Zone method is really you just kind of break it up into different sections, and so one person is going to thoroughly search the kitchen, living room, family room, hallway, bathroom. So you kind of divide and conquer. The wheel or array method, if you have a relatively circular space, the wheel method is going to be where you basically are going to go out and create spokes of a wheel. Okay, mine looks like a flower, but deal with it. And then you have the spiral method. Spiral method is where you move inward or outward, and as you guessed, this is going to create a spiral look as you search in increasingly large sections outside of the body. Okay? So, different search methods. Alright, documentation. I didn't finish this slide, so let's just move on. Alright, so the first type of documentation is going to be crime scene notes. Some things that are going to need to appear on those notes. Now the notes are going to be considered, I use the term stream of consciousness. Stream of, and I don't know how to spell consciousness right now, so we're just going to say that. Figure it out, spell check it. Stream of consciousness. So you're going to need to have a date and time in there, description of the location, weather and environmental conditions, description of the crime, location, etc., etc. People involved, this is going to not only be those that are, victims, suspect, things like that, witnesses. This is also going to involve, you need to write down who is at the scene. So this is going to be those that are involved in the crime itself, and then also our investigators. Yeah, sure. Any modifications that have occurred. This is actually kind of a big deal because a lot of times, sometimes the SOCO isn't trained. They may alter something and then let you know, like, hey, I flipped the body. Wow, that's really important information. Okay, because when you get there and all of a sudden the criminal investigators are looking at the body and they're saying, oh, hey, there's liver mortis in the body and it's indicating the body was moved. Well, if you don't know that the SOCO flipped the body, all of a sudden now there's a whole new narrative that's being created that may not be accurate. Okay, so kind of the top stuff here is relatively basic, basically understood stuff. Do take note of this. If you need to pause it and write some of this stuff down, do that now, because you need to make sure that you get all this information when you are responsible for doing crime scene notes. So if you need to pause it for notes, pause it now. Otherwise, we are going to continue on. All right. Here are a couple of those other things. Anything that hasn't been mentioned on the previous slide, you want to make sure that you make note of that. Case number. I don't think we mentioned case number in the previous slide, so that needs to be written down. Using keywords, this is going to help just when you're searching something. Every investigator comes up with their own sets of commonly used keywords that help them kind of sort through their own notes. They may use keywords like, SOCO. So now you're talking about the scene of crime officer. That's going to help you not only when you read through your notes again, when you're searching for information, or if you even translate those notes, or you're typing those notes, say you're wicked fast at typing on an iPad or some kind of device like that. You can search for those keywords and find that information. Maybe you want to talk about the murder weapon. or the point of entry, okay, the POE, point of entry. So having that kind of lingo, again, some of it's common, some of it you would develop on your own. This is that stream of consciousness thing I was talking about. Write constantly, don't commit things to memory. Once it's on paper, let it leave your brain. Because your job isn't to analyze anything. If you're the note taker, your job is literally to just be a vessel for that information to go from the crime scene onto that paper. Detailed notes. Again, obviously, don't just stop. When you access a crime scene in this class, don't just be the note taker and be like, well, I think I got everything. Okay, no, get those notes down. Keep writing, keep writing. There's always more information at that crime scene. Okay, who is dispatched? We talked about that. Location description, we talked about that. Observations, blah, blah, blah. And then exterior scene exam, we'll talk about that. All right, moving on. Photography. All right, if you are the photographer, we'll switch colors here. If you're the photographer, see, I got blue. Then you're going to need to take pictures in a particular order of particular things in a particular way. So this is really important that everybody makes note of all these things. Photos are the backbone of what forensic investigators do. You're going to leave the crime scene and you're going to forget what you saw, and a photo is going to capture that. Photographic evidence must be fair and accurate representations of the subject in question and relevant and unbiased. So these are some buzzwords we use when we talk about photography. You know, you don't want to, you know, I don't really know how you would bias a picture of a piece of evidence, but apparently it can be done. Just, you know, keep it professional, take the picture of what needs to be taken, and move on. Don't go for something excessively graphic or gory or anything like that. You need to obviously take photos of the crime scene itself and then the surroundings. This is important, all right? And I'll explain, ask me in class, I'll talk to you about how my Elgin case, how all this played in. And I'll reference that when we get to the sketch as well. Mid-range and close-up, you want to do both with various angles of each piece of evidence. And then photos as viewed by any witnesses. All right, so let's move down to here. Here's your sequence. This is what you want to write down. Identify the scene slate. Okay, this is going to be, I'm going to give this to you. You're going to fill it out. Or ID card at the start of the roll, so that needs to be kind of the opening page. You photograph from general to specific. Okay, scales, locator symbols, placards, things like that. And then there has to be a photo log, that was a horrible start, that goes with it. Let me jump back to here, to general to specific. You're going to start at the exterior. You're going to get 360 degrees of the exterior. Then you're going to progress your way to the crime scene. Yep, this is why I talk and I don't just write. Okay, you get it. You move to the crime scene. Once you access the crime scene, you take it, first you take pictures without any placards, then you take it with placards, and then you progress to each piece of evidence in order. Okay? You got to make sure that for, you know, some pieces of evidence, for example, the body, taking the picture of the body from one angle is not satisfactory. So you do need to do a 360 of some of the pieces of evidence where applicable. All right. So next we're going to move to the crime scene sketch. This is a different person. I'm going to go back to red. Crime scene sketch. So this is an example of crime scene sketch. There's going to be a whole bunch of information I'm going to require that you include. There has to be a cardinal direction. And then you have a sketch. There are two types of sketches that we can do. You can do a rough sketch, or you can do a final sketch. Okay? The rough sketch is going to be kind of a freehand drawn version. We'll do a rough sketch in the class. And then the final sketch has to be on graph paper. It has to be exactly to scale, and so that one's going to take you a lot longer. That one will probably take you about 2 days to do, right, to make sure you do it the right way. Scene diagramming, so that's what this is called, the sketches. This is going to support the photographic documentation. It illustrates the crime scene and then will help depict the scene. This is so important. Again, ask me about the Elgin case. That was the attempt homicide. And I'll tell you about how this connects in class. Sketch measurements are not meant to be exact, okay? This is going to be for your crime scene sketch, not for your final. But it does need to be a true and accurate representation. So, for example, let's say that you create a sketch and you submit it into core, and they're like, well, by the scale, this measures to be a foot to the left. They're not going to do that. What they are going to want to make sure is that it's a true and accurate representation of the crime scene itself. And this last one is where this story is going to come into play. Okay? It needs to help people understand the crime scene. I still get mad when I think about that case. All right. What does scene diagramming serve to do? Refresh the memories and recall details of those that were involved. Support and refute statements. I actually saw this in the Elgin case. Gosh, this is going to be fun. I'm going to tell you all about this story. It's going to be a good time. Help others understand the crime scene. Jurors, in particular, need to see a diagram. Helps prep the witnesses, 3D basis for models, and all that stuff. Invent reconstruction. This is kind of part of that narration that the jurors need to know about. And this is actually going to be huge too, because if you have, a crime scene, broken up some rooms, a kitchen, and then let's say that there's some kind of kitchen or a bathroom thing happened over here, you don't know what, and there's a table, I don't know what's going on over here, but they say that the victim was here, and the guy that stabbed him was over here, and they were saying that something happened here, and someone was going to the door, but they were up in there, and someone was in the back hall, but they had some babies up in here that were sleeping, little babies, I don't know what's going on, and all of a sudden you're like, what the hell is happening? What the heck is happening? So without a diagram, all of that dialogue is going to be super confusing, even if they have pictures. All right, we're at 11 minutes. Moving on. Documents the true condition of the scene and the evidence. It is a crime scene diagram that shows how evidence is related. Perfect. All right, crime scene drawing. Here's some things that you need to include. Inclusion of date, time, scale, cardinal directions. You should write this down. Reference points, distance, memories, name of investigator, victim, suspects, legend, key. Good. Pause. That's a pause symbol. Pause it now and write those things down. Now that you've unpaused, we're going to move on. You have to have all those things. Don't forget. All right. How do you approach diagramming a scene? Well, first you need to evaluate the scene, determine what you're going to need to diagram it, and then go ahead and you're going to get those items. Once you've determined what you need to do, then you evaluate the crime scene. What's the nature of the crime? Is this indoor or outdoor? This is kind of important. The size and the furthest item of evidence. This is going to help determine your scale. Okay? Because if you have, a whole bunch of bullet casings, and then you have, like a semi. This is a semi. They have a little thing there in the cab. This is where the guy sleeps at night sometimes. Now it looks like, okay, now this looks like, I don't know what happened. This is some kind of freakish animal. Let's give it a tail. Availability of landmark and reference points. This is going to help you when you are, especially for outdoors, for example. Having a tree, a fountain, things like that, a sidewalk are going to help provide perspective and scale. Measurement methods. All right, this baseline, I'm going to demonstrate this one in class for you. This is one we're going to use, so I'm not going to talk about that one too much. We'll do it in class. The rest of these are self-explanatory, so go ahead and take a minute and read through those on your own. Coordinate, rectangular, triangulation, polar coordinate, and then GPS, which is self-explanatory. So read those. I will wait here for you. Keep reading. You done yet? Okay, if not, you can pause it. I'm moving on. I'm bored. All right. Measuring approach. So this is what you will actually do. First, you're going to sketch the area. Then you're going to identify movable items first. These are going to be objects of evidence. The knife, the hammer, the notebook, the bullet casings, the head, whatever. Detailed measurements come second. So these are going to be doors, windows, permanent objects, a desk or a table. We'd consider that more of a permanent object. And then overall measurements last. This is protection of evidence. So this means that if I was to draw a sketch as I went, you'd see the little pieces of evidence, and then all of a sudden a desk would appear, and then maybe the doorway, okay? And then let's say there's a chair here, and then here's the body. Okay, there's a pool of blood. Okay, then you measure the perimeter of the room. Okay, so we'll talk about that as well. All right, boom goes dynamite. That's the end. D'Angelo, make sure you give me a better comment than woo. Anyone else, feel free to comment and be like, Mr. Nilsson's notes are awesome, and it's under 15 minutes. Done.